Hello everyone. Maybe you're watching this while curled up under a blanket, or maybe you're standing in the kitchen, your hands still wet from doing the dishes. Wherever you are, right now, I want you to pause. Feel the ground under your feet. Hear the quiet hum of your world. And listen, because today isn't easy. You didn't ask for this. No one ever does. But trouble has a way of arriving without warning. It doesn't knock politely, it doesn't send a heads up, it just walks in, uninvited, and changes everything. Your phone buzzed with news you didn't want to hear. Your bank account hit zero without explanation. Someone you loved walked out, and this time, they're not coming back. You feel like you're standing in the middle of a battlefield with no armor. Just skin, nerves, and a heart that keeps breaking in slow motion. And maybe, just maybe, you've whispered something like this: God, where are you right now? Because let's be honest, hardship isn't rare. We live in a broken world. The day of trouble, as some call it, isn't just poetic language, it's a reality. One moment you're dreaming about the future, the next you're trying to survive Tuesday. You think of King Jehoshaphat, the ruler who heard that 3 entire armies were coming to wipe out his people. No time to prepare. No plans. But instead of rallying weapons, he did something wild. He called for prayer. No swords, just worship. And in that surrender, the enemy destroyed itself.
Sounds foolish, doesn't it? But sometimes, faith looks like foolishness, until it works. Still, you've been trying to be strong. You've plastered on the smile, said all the right Christian things. But at night, you collapse into the same question. How much more can I take? And then, something strange happens. You're walking to your car, and a woman you barely know stops you. She's holding a bag of groceries and looking at you like she sees straight through the mask. I felt like God wanted me to tell you, He's still with you, she says, before walking away like it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was oxygen. Just like Elijah, after running for his life, collapsed under a tree and begged God to take him. What did God do? He didn't lecture. He didn't scold. He sent an angel with a warm meal and a nap. Because sometimes, survival isn't a spiritual lesson. It's just kindness. And maybe that's why you're here right now. Not to fix it, not to figure it all out, but to remember, you were never meant to fight this alone. Some battles are not yours to win. They are God's. But first, you have to stop swinging. You can't pray and panic at the same time. You have to choose your weapon. And prayer, quiet, trembling, whisper prayer, isn't weak. It's warfare. Ever heard the story of the violinist who played his final concert while the Titanic was sinking? His name was Wallace Hartley. As chaos broke out around him, he didn't run. He stood firm and played. Worship in the midst of sinking, praise in the heart of panic. And you? You've been trying to tread water. But what if, instead of flailing, you knelt? What if surrender is what activates heaven? What if prayer is how God steps in? You're not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You're human. But you're also held. Even now, in the middle of your storm, He sees. And He fights for those who are too tired to fight for themselves. So take a breath. Let the battle belong to the one who's never lost. Because you're not abandoned. You're not cursed. You're not forgotten. You're just standing on the edge of a miracle. And it starts with prayer. You tried. You really did. You read all the advice. You made the to-do lists. You woke up early and stayed up late and kept telling yourself, if I just work harder, maybe this will go away. But it didn't. The weight didn't lift. In fact, it got heavier. And now, your shoulders ache. Not from what you're carrying, but from the stubborn belief that you were supposed to carry it in the first place. Let's get one thing straight. This burden was never meant to belong to you. You remember Moses, standing at the edge of the Red Sea with an entire nation behind him, panicking.
The Egyptian army was chasing them down. There were no boats, no backup plan. And what did God say? The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Be still. Not hustle harder, not panic. Just be still. You glance in the mirror, and you hardly recognize yourself. Your eyes look tired, not just physically, but soul tired, because trying to be your own savior will do that to a person. And then there's the story of Corrie ten Boom, hiding people in her home during the Nazi occupation. She was imprisoned, starved, beaten, and still, she spoke about the peace of God in solitary confinement. Her strength didn't come from herself. It came from trust, from surrender, from prayer. You sit on your couch, surrounded by bills or empty rooms or unfinished dreams, and the air feels thick with failure. But maybe it's not failure. Maybe it's the start of learning to let go. There's a moment when even the strongest people collapse into tears, and sometimes that collapse is holy. You remember your friend telling you once, "I used to think faith meant doing everything right. Now I know. It means knowing who to run to when everything goes wrong." You think of the old mystic who said he survived decades of pain, not by fighting it, but by leaning back into the arms of God. So tonight, instead of performing, you pray, but not fancy words, just honesty. God, I can't carry this. And somehow, in that moment, something shifts. You don't feel lighter right away, but the pressure moves. It's like you've handed something off, like you finally admitted you're not strong enough, and that's the most powerful thing you could have done. What if surrender isn't defeat, but the beginning of strength? You remember hearing a story once about a man lost in the desert. He was dehydrated, dizzy, and desperate. Then he stumbled across a pump. Next to it, a tin can with a note. Pour all the water in this can into the pump first. It's priming the system. Then water will flow. He was faced with a choice: drink what little was in the can, or pour it out in faith. He poured it, and the water came, more than enough. Could that be what prayer is? Pouring out your last drop, not knowing what will come, but trusting the source is good. So now, you breathe slower. You don't feel fixed, but you feel aligned, like heaven is closer than it was 10 minutes ago. You say out loud, "This isn't mine to carry," and you mean it this time. The weight is still there, but it's not on you anymore. And that changes everything. You wake up before the sun, not because you want to, because sleep's been fragile lately. The kind of shallow rest that leaves you more tired than before. But this morning, it feels different. There's a quietness in the room, not the kind that feels empty, but the kind that feels full, like someone's already here, waiting. You don't reach for your phone. You whisper, "Good morning, Lord." It's simple, unpolished, sincere. And that's when it happens. Not thunder, not flashing lights, just peace, settling in your chest like warm tea, slow, certain, and real. You remember that story of Elisha's servant. He woke up one morning to find their city surrounded by an enemy army. Panic, fear, but Elisha didn't panic. He prayed, "Open his eyes." And suddenly the servant saw a greater army, chariots of fire, angels standing guard. The battle had never been in question. He just couldn't see it. What if right now, even when you feel surrounded, heaven is already fighting for you? You wouldn't know it by the news, or your inbox, or the way the doctor looked at you. But underneath it all, you're starting to believe something is happening beyond the visible. You think of Harriet Tubman, the woman who led hundreds of slaves to freedom. She had visions, dreams, divine warnings. People mocked her, but her faith, unshakable. She credited every step to God. She called him her North Star. When others said, "It's too dangerous," she said, "I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger." That kind of faith, it doesn't come from ease. It comes from trust sharpened in fire. You sit in your kitchen and open your Bible, not for obligation, but because your soul is thirsty. And the words hit different now. You're not just reading, you're listening. You used to ask, "God, why aren't you doing anything?" But now you ask, "God, what are you doing that I can't yet see?" Because you're starting to notice the phone call you didn't expect, the check that showed up just in time, The moment you almost lost it, but didn't. Like the time a pilot in 1941 ignored standard flight procedures and circled his plane one more time, only to avoid flying straight into a mountain covered by fog. They called it luck. He called it guidance.
You feel that now. Guidance. Not loud, not flashy, but real. God isn't just near, He's ahead of you, clearing paths you don't know you'll need, protecting you from things you never even saw coming. And you're learning to walk slower, not out of fear, but because you're no longer in a rush to fix everything. You pray more now, not out of panic, but out of rhythm, like breathing. God, go before me today. God, fight what I can't see. God, remind me you're here. And He does, maybe not with parting seas, but with small, faithful acts of love that whisper, I've got you. So when the enemy surrounds you, you lift your head, because you know something now. You're not unarmed. You're not alone. You're not losing. You are covered by grace, by prayer, by a God who still moves mountains, even if sometimes He moves you instead. The storm hasn't stopped. You'd love to say it has. You'd love to wrap this whole season up with a tidy bow and a happily ever after. But that's not the story God's writing. Not yet. And strangely, that's okay. Because you've stopped waiting for the storm to end before you feel peace. You've learned how to feel it in the storm. Like the disciples on the boat, panicking while the waves crashed around them. Jesus was sleeping during the chaos. When they finally woke Him up in fear, He didn't panic with them. He stood, He spoke, and the storm stilled. But what gets you now isn't that He calmed the storm. It's that He was calm before the storm stopped. That's the kind of peace you're learning to carry. The kind that says, even if nothing changes, I know who holds me. And honestly, that's changed everything. You used to pray with clenched fists, begging, bargaining, bracing for disappointment. Now, your hands are open, not in defeat, but in surrender. You say, God, I trust you with this, and you mean it. Like Amy Carmichael, the missionary who spent 55 years in India without ever going home. She rescued children, built refuge houses, and wrote poems from her sickbed. She once wrote, "In acceptance lieth peace." That peace wasn't from a pain-free life, but from a heart rooted in trust. You've stopped needing to understand everything. That alone is a miracle. Because humans crave answers, patterns, logic, but faith, it lives in the spaces between understanding. So you whisper, I don't get it, but I believe you're good. And heaven moves at that sound. There's a story of a man who fell into a deep pit during an earthquake. Buried alive, with no light, no way to escape, he began to sing. People thought he was hallucinating. But 2 days later, rescuers found him alive, his lungs full of praise and his face full of peace. That's what faith looks like. Not denial of reality, but defiant hope in it. And you're not skipping the pain, but you're not drowning in it anymore either.
You're walking through it, one prayer at a time, one breath at a time, one whisper of God, help me, at a time. And through it all, you're seeing Him. Not always in the way you expected, but always in the way you needed, because He didn't promise an easy road. He promised presence. And now, even when life feels unsteady, you're grounded, not in your own strength, but in His. You don't know what tomorrow holds, but you know the one who holds you through tomorrow. So you wake up, still in the same situation, but not the same person. You're anchored, rooted, strengthened. You've learned to fight battles on your knees, and that's the most powerful posture of all. So now, everything slows down. The light in the room softens. The noise in your chest quiets. You take a deeper breath than you have in days. And somehow, it doesn't feel forced. You've walked through 5 parts of a story, and every one of them was yours. The doubt, the fear, the clenched fists, the surrender, the prayer. And now, here you are, not at the end of your trial maybe, but at the beginning of something new inside you. Something unshakable. You no longer ask, why me? You ask, what are you teaching me here, Lord? Because you've learned something essential, something eternal, that not every battle needs to be fought by your strength, that not every answer needs to come right now, that not every scar means failure. Sometimes the scars are the evidence you were held through it all. Life will still bring days of trouble. That's not a threat, it's a promise grounded in the reality of this world. But now you know, those days don't define you. They don't get the final word. God does. And His word over you is not abandoned. It's not forgotten. It's not too late. His word is beloved, fought for, covered. So take this moment. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your soul rest. Because the truth is, you're already in the hands of the one who parts seas, stills storms, and whispers peace into every broken place. You are not alone. You never were. You will never be. Take a deep breath. Relax your body. You can turn on the fan to create some background noise, like a gentle breathing of the space. Now, let's listen to today's story together.